Good afternoon. I'm Rocío Álvarez Osorio, the director of EAE Lab, the Incubator of EAE Business School. Welcome to the EAE Entrepreneur Experience, a program that addresses all aspects of entrepreneurship. I take this opportunity to extend a cordial greeting to all those who are joining for the first time, and especially to those who are seeing the cycle from different parts of the world. As you know, the Entrepreneur Experience is an initiative promoted by Alumni Association, a project of the school that offers 5 large areas of services to students and alumni in training and knowledge, professional development, networking, benefit, and discounts. Design Thinking Business Design Part 2 is the third session and will focus on how to create a business model through the design thinking methodology. To talk about this topic, we have the presence of Henry Menens. Thank you, Henry, and who is a specialist in transformation and innovation. Before giving the word to Henry, I invite you to participate in this session and ask your question through Twitter using the hashtag that appear on your screen. Again, welcome, and Henry, please start with your class.
Thank you, Rocío. Welcome, people. Of course, not just through Twitter, but also here in class. You can all ask me always any question, okay? Don't hesitate, just ask whatever you want, all right? Well, in last session, 2 weeks ago in Barcelona, we talked about the first immersion into the design thinking process. We explained that the design thinking process contains 3 different phases. The exploration phase, in which you empathize with your client, you discover its pains, its problems, and then based on these problems, you're going to define your value proposition. Then in the next phase, based on that value proposition you define in the exploration phase, in the next phase called the ideation phase, you're going to develop a solution based on that value proposition. And the difference with a value proposition is that a value proposition says what you're going to deliver to your client, and then the solution is how you're going to deliver. A little bit different, as you learned before in marketing. When they ask you, what are you offering, what are you selling, then you refer directly to the solution, and the what now is more a value proposition. Okay, it's very important to distinguish that, but we will see that later in the session again. So, in your ideation, you start by developing your solution, and then around that solution, you're going to develop a business model. Later on, then, by prototyping, having different prototypes, testing with your clients, at the end you will end up with a final prototype, and that prototype you're going to implement in the third phase of the design thinking process. Okay, that was what we talked about before, and we also learned that that process, you shouldn't start before actually doing one exercise before, and that is the context mapping. The context mapping is an exercise in which you are going to discover with your team what passions you have, what wishes you have. We were talking about these wishes like, I would like to work in an international environment, I would like to work with international clients, or my team should be international. I would like to work with a small team, or actually to build a bigger company. I would like to work with children, or my clients should be elder people, because I love to work with elder people. Whatever wishes and desires and passions you have, you take it with you, and then you're going to identify what are your strengths, what are your competencies, your knowledge you have in your team, your different resources, your contacts. We call that all the bird in hand principle from the effectuation theory from Sarah Sarasvati. And well, if you want to know more about it, just watch the first video recorded in Barcelona, and now we will continue on that. Because after the context mapping, after, as you see in the business model canvas here, that you start from the left side, determining what are your resources, your activities you're good at, your contacts, your passions and wishes. Then you're going to determine where to start with your project, and where to start to explore. Why did we talk about that last session? Because normally if you just an entrepreneur and you still do not know where to start, where to develop your ideas, this is a good guidance in determining exactly in what ecosystem you would like to start with your business exploration. Okay? Now, once you have decided on what ecosystem and with what type of client you would like to start, then the design thinking process really starts. And so for that, we developed a new method. It's called the triple canvas method. The triple canvas method, it's already applied in various companies, also in my own company where I'm working in Meansight. We use it here at EAE Incubator and also in different programs like the Master in Innovation and Entrepreneurship. It's a model that is proved already during more than 5 years, and it's combining some theories and adding some new insights. It's an iterative process in which you identify 3 different canvases. First, the project canvas, that is your canvas. It's a canvas of your project. It's a canvas of your business idea. It's the canvas that finally you will present, for example, in Incubator to an investment committee. It's the canvas, however, as a final result based on 2 other canvases. One is the exploration canvas and the other is the innovation canvas. Both canvases I'm going to explain a little bit more in detail in the next minutes. Okay, so we have 3 canvases, and those 3 canvases, they are influencing each other continuously. It's an iterative process, repeatedly going from one canvas to the other, as we will see. All right, now we start with the triple canvas method, of course, with your own project, because you decided after the context mapping where to start. In the ecosystem, you discovered you have your resources, your contacts, your knowledge, your experience, your passions, your wishes. So in that ecosystem, you're going to define what client I'm going to make happy. Well, that client, you are going to try to personalize. We call that to put a persona. It's a Spanish word, but it's still English in design thinking, to put a persona to your client. So let's say, for example, in retail, you take Carrefour, and in Carrefour, the company, of course, has different sub-companies. So you can, for example, take the bio retail company from Carrefour, and there you take Barbara from the innovation department. Barbara is your persona, who you are going to make happy and make business with. Okay, so Barbara, she must have a problem, because if Barbara doesn't have a problem, you are not going to have business. So the next step is, what is the problem Barbara has? And from that point, you're going to leave your first canvas, the project canvas. Now you're going to the next canvas. And the next canvas, the exploration canvas, you're going to explore the business Barbara is working for. So that is quite interesting, because normally probably all of you here in your international MBA, all students are from the international MBA here, you learn probably about the business model canvas from Alex Osterwalder. But although it's a absolutely useful tool. He presented in 2010 in his book Business Model Generation, but it's not complete, because that first canvas you can compare with your project canvas, but it's not going to help you with an exploration in what problems your client really has. Because for that you have to see the business model of your client, not your business model. That is very often what we see before the introduction of this triple canvas method that I developed. What we saw before in classes was that the students, they were confusing their business model with the client's business model. And of course you should separate them. So in the exploration phase, in design thinking, you start with the exploration canvas, and there you have 2 parts in that exploration canvas. You have the organizational model. And in the organizational model, what you try to identify are problems regarding processes of your client, regarding the usage of resources or the interaction with its partners. So you are trying to improve the experience of your client regarding its organizational model. That is different than the other side. The other side, the right side of your client's business model, is the customer experience part, where your client has its interaction with its clients, not your clients, but the client of your client. Okay, that's in the beginning it's a bit confusing, but you should separate the clients of your clients and your clients, because Carrefour, in this case, the bio retail company of Carrefour, they are making their clients happy. Your objective is to make Carrefour happy. Of course, if you make the clients of your client happy, probably your client also will be happy. But we will see that there still is a difference in the value propositions between both of them. Okay? So, coming back to the right side, there it's all about customer experience. And so the value you're going to deliver, before in the organization model, you deliver value for the company, not for the client of the client, but just for the company. So if you improve their processes, you help the company and you create, as we call it, company value. Okay? And so the same here now at the right side, there you help the customer of your client. The customer of your client. And therefore we call it, you're creating customer value. So you can deliver two types of value when helping your client. When helping Barbara, you can deliver company value or you can deliver customer value. Okay? Now, interesting is that in the customer value, you can look, how can I improve a product or service? But you also could look, how can I improve the channel, for example, the type of shop, like Amazon, for example, did with Amazon Go. They totally differentiated, they totally innovated on the channel. And the same with Amazon in the beginning, in the 90s, their Amazon innovated on selling books online as one of the first online bookshops. The differentiation, innovation into the channel and creating another experience, because it's all in design thinking about experience, improving experience. So here it's improving the experience of the customer through channel, through services, products, or even with the price. If you lower the price, your client will be happy. And so for that, you also see below a yellow post-it in the revenues field. So you can work with the revenues, you can work with the channel, you can work on the products and services, or even going to another niche, where you see the customer segments on the right. You choose another niche and satisfying the customers there with a new experience, or work on your relationships with the client through an innovative promotion mix. And like, for example, Nespresso does with its client relationship. Okay, now, two different types of values you can deliver to your client. At the end, you have to discover what is the problem. Is it on the company side? Is it on the interaction with its client? And then, at the end, you define your problem and you can go back again to your project canvas, because now you defined your problem. And from that moment on, when you continue, you can define your value proposition. Your value proposition actually is just the opposite of the problem. When you say, the problem of the retail company is a huge amount of cost in the interaction with its suppliers, for example, you want to improve the experience in the organizational model, then you help your clients. Then you help your client, Barbara in this case, with improving the interaction model with its suppliers. So that is the value proposition. Now the question is, how are you going to do that? And in that moment, you enter in the ideation phase. As you see below, right below in the different slides, you see the phase we are in the design thinking process. And now we entered in the ideation phase. So we are going to develop the solution. And the solution, of course, is something complex. It can consist just in a product, but also a combination of products and services. And there, some techniques on creativity and brainstorming are welcome. And so, for example, a booklet like Thinkertoys with many different methods to help you on creativity and brainstorming. Those techniques can help you in developing a solution that is more innovative and that is delivering a better value proposition. So at the end, with some creativity, you are going to develop a solution, and around that solution then, you are going to develop a business model. Your business model, not anymore the business model of your client, but your business model. And again, here, as we had a separation in the business model of the client, in a part of customer and experience and company value, the same with your canvas. Your business model you can divide upon in two parts: the marketing plan and the project plan. The first part you're going to study after defining the problem, the value proposition and the solution is then through what channels am I going to deliver my value proposition, to deliver my solution to the client, and what interaction do I have with my client? What customer interaction do I have? Do I use a type of CRM? Do I have a creative way in communicating with my client to create recurrency at the end? Because that is one of the main goals you want with your business idea. It's not just one unique selling moment, but you try to create recurrency and repeating sales with your clients. So that is all the objective of the customer interaction field. And at the end, also the pricing model. What price am I going to ask from my client? And that together is, as you recognize, is your marketing plan, the 4 Ps. All right, then after defining your marketing plan, then you have to define what do I need to make it happen? And that is your project plan. Your project plan, well, first of all, from the context mapping you did before, you already know what resources you already have, what knowledge, what activities you're good at, you know what partners you could contact, you know what resources you have, what money you have. So with that you already can start cooking. But of course, you probably will need something more. Not too much more, because that was not the idea of the context mapping. And the idea of effectuation is that you try to cook with what you have, as we explained in the previous session. But it's, of course, obvious that you will need some more resources. So all these resources together then will define your cost structure of your business idea and of your project plan. Now, together with your project plan and your marketing plan, you have your business idea and you have your project canvas. But you're not ready yet, because then you are going to define, is my competition doing the same or not? Are you going to do something different as they already do? So you're going to see where you can create a competitive advantage. And now there are 3 ways, as we have learned in our different study programs. Michael Porter, already in, I think it was 1980, in his book Competitive Advantage, he defined you can differentiate yourself from competition in 3 different ways. You can choose a different niche where your competition still isn't, and Michael Porter calls that the focus strategy. Then you have a second option, which is he calls it the product differentiation, but product nowadays is a little bit limited. In these days we talk about offering, and offering contains a little bit more than just product. So your product and services, together with your promotion mix, together with the channel, together with the price you're asking for your products and services, that together we call the offering. And there you can differentiate yourself from competition and create an offering differentiation. Okay, and the third way is by being more cost efficient. So reduce the costs. Reduce the cost in the usage of resources, reduce the cost in being more efficient in your processes, reduce the cost in your relationship with your partners. So it's all about costs there in cost leadership. So it's doing the same, but more efficient. So there are 3 ways you can discover how to be different than your competitors. It's important here that you identify some competitors that have a business idea that is more or less similar as yours. And then you have to see, okay, in what of these 3 areas, or even in 2 or even in 3 areas, can I differentiate myself from my competition? There is another technique, and you can Google on it, the value curves. They are called the value curves, or the BOS, the Blue Ocean Strategy Canvas, which is more or less the same as the value curves, in which you define what attributes does my offering have, and through designing some value curves and then defining where you are going to eliminate some attributes, reducing some attributes, augmenting some attributes, or even creating some new attributes, then you will create your own value curve in which you show, like, for example, an investment committee, how you are different than your competition. Okay, that you take again back to your own canvas, and you iterate again on your different elements in your project, because there you can decide whether you change some things, if it's focus or offering differentiation, some things in your marketing plan, or if it's more a cost leadership, it will be your project plan that will be affected. Okay, so it's a continuous iterative process in which you're continuously prototyping. You're prototyping based on the explorations you do in the exploration canvas and in the study of your competition and finding out how to be different. That iteration process, you continue and continue until you find a prototype that is almost ready, because you're not ready yet, because there's a last step that you should check. And the last step is my business model, my project canvas, is it viable? Or better, in English, feasible. Feasible means it's not just economically viable, but there are more dimensions to check whether, at the end, your business model, your project canvas, is feasible. It can be not just on financials, but also on market research, seeing that the price you're asking is not the price you should ask, because your customers are not ready to pay for it. They don't see the markup. You are asking for the additional value you are creating, or you discover that there are other elements in the market that influence your business model that make it unfeasible. Okay, so after a market study, you continue and see whether the technology is compatible, whether the technology is feasible, if you can execute it. Okay, because until now it was just a business model, it was just a first hypothesis. In your demo, in the third phase, when you're going to implement your first prototype, you're going to discover more that part and see whether at the end it's compatible or not, the technological part. For the people is very important that you study. It's not like financials, but an investment committee and a business angel, or even an investment bank, when they invest in your business plan, the first thing they study is the team behind the idea. The financials are very important, but the most important thing is the team. If they think the team is not capable of carrying out this business idea, well, then you have a big problem. So in your feasibility study, you should see whether the competencies, whether the knowledge and experience, whether everything those people know whether they can build the business idea with it. And that actually you can avoid more or less that problem if you do your context mapping we explained in the previous session in the right way. Because there you can already build with the competences and knowledge and experience on your with your business idea, and so you can avoid that later on regarding the people you don't have a feasibility. Okay, and then the next step would be culture. Culture refers to social aspects, refers to elements that influence, which makes at the end feasible or not feasible implementing your idea in a certain country, for example. If you have started in Spain and you want to replicate your business in another country, but because of cultural or social reasons it won't be possible, then there you have a problem with the cultural feasibility. And the same counts for the reverse. If you discovered a business idea you like and you're passionate about, you would like to replicate it in Spain, think first about the cultural feasibility before copying it from, for example, Asia. There is a video, it's a very old and classic one, they use in a lot of business schools, about Tesco Home Plus. It's a retail idea in metro stations, in other stations like bus stations, airports, different transport areas where they have built retail places. It's like a supermarket, but totally virtual with posters. Have a look at that video, and you will see that it has had a huge success in Asia. They tried to replicate it in Europe, and there were just 3 places in Europe where they tried, and there was 1 in Spain, 2 in England, and both at the end didn't work out. Why? Mainly because of social and cultural aspects. Just have a look on this business case, it's very interesting. Okay, and at the end, number 6 is like the rest. Everything you can think of that also influences your business idea. So the rest, think of legal aspects that can block your business idea, or fiscal aspects that can block your business idea. Okay, another example could be the infrastructure in a country, if you depend on it. Or, for example, technological infrastructure, like if you have a business idea that needs a coverage of 3G or 4G or Wi-Fi connection, and you want to implement it in a metro station, but in that city, in the metro station, there is no internet connection, then you have an infeasibility regarding the technological infrastructure. So, and there are many, many other examples. It's like the rest of feasibility elements. Okay, this again, you have to take into account, you have to study, and if you see some unfeasibilities, that means that you again have to prototype, again have to adjust in your project canvas. And for that you see that together with your exploration with your client, together with the differentiation from your competition, and together with the feasibility studies, you are continuously prototyping until you finally end up with a final prototype that you are going to implement. And then we enter in the stage of the implementation, and that will be a next session. Today we have finished with exploring a little bit more about the first 2 phases in the design thinking process. I hope this was helpful to you, and that the triple canvas can guide you in your entrepreneurial projects. And we are looking forward to see you in the Incubator from EAE Business School with your entrepreneurial projects. Thank you very much. Any questions besides? From the class? I haven't given you the opportunity yet.
What was the name again? The name of the airport or retail cases?
Tesco Home Plus. Tesco Home Plus. The first video is about the implementation of that retail structure in South Korea. Very interesting. Although it's an old video already, but it's still very cool. Other questions?
So basically, from what I understand, if you work on a canvas, you need to work on 3 kinds of canvas, which is project, exploration, and innovation.
Correct.
Innovation is the green one.
The green one, exactly. And the orange one is the exploration with your client. But see it, your canvas, your canvas that you finally present to your client or to an investment committee, your canvas is the project canvas. The other two canvas, they support you in your thinking process, in your designing process. Okay?
But the exploration one, when you want to explore the customer of your client,
Uh-huh.
which area of your client are you exploring?
I'll give you an example. We talked about Carrefour and the bio retail, and now suppose that that Barbara from the innovation department would like to investigate a better way how to create a better experience for the shoppers in their supermarkets. So that could be by studying the proper channel. And so the shop itself, like within in Carrefour Go, for example, like Amazon Go, or by for example the shopping baskets to give them some innovative new elements to guide them through the shop, and to find the elements for a recipe, for example, or that the basket is giving you a signal, hey, watch out, that is not gluten-free, etc. So it's about the experience of that you create as Carrefour for your customer, and you as a consultant or as a supplier for Carrefour, you are helping them in improving that experience with their customers. Mm-hmm.
What about the prototyping? I mean, for me, what's not clear if you did before the innovation canvas or afterwards. I know that you have also like to review and then prototype again until you have like a more solid consensus of what you have and if it's feasible or not. But I didn't understand well if you do a prototype before think it's feasible, just like with what you have pictured, or afterwards.
The prototyping actually you're doing right from the beginning.
Okay.
When you go quite quickly to your first exploration, and there you already start by prototyping, because you have a first prototype, you will talk with Barbara about it, and then you go back to your office and probably with some input from Barbara, you continue your exploration and you add some other things to your prototype, and you continue again, and through the interaction with the client, because design thinking is an interactive process with your client on a continuous base, you're continuously prototyping at that moment. When you go back to your project canvas after that first exploration with the canvas, and then when you switch to the innovation canvas, you continue prototyping. You continue prototyping by changing some elements in your marketing or in your project plan based on what you see in the innovation, with your competitors. But even it could be that what you discover with your competition needs also to be revised again with the client. So you start the exploration again. That's why you see those three circles in a circle. It's an iterative process in which you're continuously understanding what's happening, designing, and implementing. And so when you found out something in your competitive analysis, you can explore again and see with Barbara whether the alterations you have done in your own project canvas she likes or not. And then you can start with another prototype again, and you go back to Barbara and see. And so it's a continuous process. There is not 1, 2, 3, or 4 thing of tenth of different prototypes until 100 prototypes, depending the kind of business it is, when you finally will finish with one prototype that we will implement. But it's a continuous process going through these three circles on a continuous basis, okay? Uh-huh.
And do you suggest to print it wide and just play with the post-its?
Absolutely. In the Incubator, for example, we have those posters on A1 format, and we put them on the windows, and we play with posters, and we play between the three canvas. The only thing is that at the end when you present, because imagine you have just 5 minutes to explain what you want to sell. So what you present is your own canvas. But the foundations, the argumentation behind your canvas comes from the other two canvas. But don't confuse your public with three canvas. The three canvas is a working tool. It's a thinking tool. For that, it guides you in design thinking, because the design thinking process and the triple canvas method, they go hand in hand. Okay? And they help you in finally finish one project canvas. Okay, but for yourself, yes, it would be great. The bigger the poster, the better it is. And then just playing around with post-its, not writing on the poster, but playing with post-its, also different colors. And for example, now I kept it simple by just talking about one problem, one value proposition. Perhaps you have more problems or even more clients and more problems and more value propositions. And then for every element more, if there is, for example, 2 different clients, you will use for every client another color with a post-it to distinguish. So you can make it really visually attractive, this exercise. And if you want to know more, just come once to the Incubator in the other building here in Madrid. You're always welcome, and we can show you more.
And tomorrow we have a session. Yes, for the students at 7 in the evening.
7 p.m.
Yes, 7 until 9. The incubator is in the other building in Príncipe de Vergara, in the last floor.
Last floor. Okay.
Yes.
And there we actually will use those posters, those A1 format posters, so you can directly play. Some other questions?
And how do you help with the incubator services? Are you going through all of these? Are you guiding, or I'm just?
If you want, we can explain you before the session in which consists the services of the incubator and how we can help you if you want to participate there. Okay?
Tomorrow?
Yes, or tomorrow if you want to come with us.
Okay, great.
Okay. So
Jaime.
I have a question about the exploration canvas. How do you deal if you are working in an idea that it is B2C, or B2B?
That's a very good question, Jaime. I was actually asking for that one. Is this presentation now, since we just have 1 hour and a bit, was focused actually, as you can see very well, on a B2B situation. And that's a very good remark. The thing is that most of the business ideas we're dealing with in the incubator and in the different final projects in the different programs here at the University and Business School, they are B2B. And for that, we use this way. It's very simple, Jaime. And actually, I should have integrated it, but there was no time for it, okay? There is another version which is called the double canvas method. And so that actually just means that you take away the exploration canvas and you just have your own project canvas, selling ice creams, for example, to children. That's a very simple business idea, B2C. And there you don't need that exploration into the processes of your company's client's company, or the resources or the partners are interacting with. It would be if you, for example, had as a client Nestle that are manufacturing those ice creams. But if you are just selling ice creams, then it's a double canvas method. You take away the exploration canvas, you just have your project, and of course the comparative analysis with your competitors. That always applies, okay? And if you want to see, if you, for example, you have a B2C idea and you want to see how that would work, we always can see that together, all right? Okay, thank you, Jaime. Good comment. Uh-huh. Other questions, doubts? Uh-huh.
Okay, so at this point, we are going to close the meeting and the session. And thank you very much, Henry, for your explanation.
You're welcome.
I think that it will be wonderful for the students in order to create their business model. And in the next few days, we will send you an email with a link so they can see the session again and other to download the presentation. Thank you very much and good afternoon.
Bye-bye.